This is The One True Power by Megan J. Collins. Over the river, across the bridge, and in the middle of a clearing in the woods was a slanted hut. Inside the hut was a witch, as evil and cunning as her predecessors. For hundreds of years, the witch would sneak into the nearby village and kidnap the most beautiful child. Whereupon she would drain the child's soul, consuming it for her own greed and vanity. For a child of God's soul had more power than a witch could ever obtain her own. Once the child's body was full of life, the witch would cast him down into the well, disposing of the whole messy affair. For centuries the witch had carried on this way, and as she took little Pearl deep into the woods, she thought today would be no different. Upon waking, Gabriella noticed her little sister was not resting her head on her pillow, but that a single pale purple datura lay there instead. Gabriella knew the datura meant the witch had taken her sister, her little Pearl, for the only daturas for miles grew by the witch's hut. Without even changing, Gabriella ran into the forest, twisting around trees, climbing up hills, and splashing through rivers. But she could not find the witch's hut. Knowing she would never find the hut on her own, Gabriella knelt down to the ground, closed her eyes, and prayed. She begged God to help her find her sister, even if it was only her body. Tears flooded her eyes as she wailed out into the forest, crying and begging for God's help. She sat there, wailing, till something tickled her nose. Upon opening her eyes, she saw the purest lily she had ever beheld growing from her tears. Plucking the lily, Gabriella saw another one growing far deeper in the woods. When plucking the second lily, she saw the third and final lily growing. Once Gabriella had the 3 lilies in her hands, she could see the witch's hut in the distance. But before walking into the witch's hut, Gabriella knelt down once more and prayed for God's strength and aid in saving her sister. Inside the hut, the witch had just finished her potion, a potion that would transfer the power and life of little Pearl's soul into the empty witch. Holding a bottle in her hands, the witch blew the steam from the cauldron towards little Pearl, dragging the girl's soul out and into the bottle. But before the witch could finish, Gabriella entered the hut, and using the lilies as a fan, wafted the steam towards the witch. However, there was no divine power to be found inside her, so instead of extracting her soul, the steam melted the witch down into the stickiest tar and transported every drop into the glass bottle. Her sister was safe, and the witch could never hurt another child of God for all of time. But Gabriella knew the Lord's work was not done yet. Grabbing the glass bottle that contained the witch, Gabriella went to the running brook of water and placed the bottle into the stream. Shaking the earth, the ground opened, carrying the witch deep into hell. Walking over to the well, Gabriella could see all the witch's previous victims, some so old they had turned to dust. Again kneeling down, she prayed to God to help her return the children to the village, to give them a proper burial. Before her eyes, a lily for every child sprouted from the well, tangling around each other like rope, allowing Gabriella and Pearl to get each child out of the well. With the children safe, the sisters tied the lilies into a makeshift sleigh, big enough to transfer the children back to town. Out from the woods approached a creature the sisters had never seen before, a noble lion. The girls knew they need not be afraid. Attaching the sleigh to the lion, the 3 walked towards town. Before they stepped out of the wood, Gabriella and the lion stopped, while Pearl ran into the town to tell all the villagers. Kneeling down in front of the lion and placing her nose to him, Gabriella said with pure gratitude and love, "Thank you." The lion then vanished as quickly as he had come. Together, the villagers buried each child and placed a lily next to their gravestones, lilies that never died or wilted, no matter the weather or time of year. And as for Gabriella, she kept the 3 original lilies, forever reminding her of the one and true power. The end.